All right, this is season 3, episode 3, a long, long time. All right, you know what the worst part about not liking this episode is?
It's season 1, episode 3, actually.
What did I say?
You said season 3, episode 3.
God damn it. Season 1, episode
It's
3.
fine. It's
You know what
late,
the worst part
retired,
of
fine.
not liking this episode? I can't say I not don't like it without being thrown in with the idiots that threw a hissy fit over this episode. So for the record,
Yep.
before we get into this, I do not agree with those people either. I think there are legitimate criticisms to this episode, but it's not that there's two gay guys in it. That is not a legitimate criticism. All right, Jareth, we will get to your response here in a moment. In three, two, one, play. Thank you. The reason I didn't finish this because my dad was watching the stories I played. He's a big Troy Baker fan. Oh, for sure.
That's really cool. Yeah.
I played the first game for my mom.
So did I. Well, long before this was a show, I love that story so much. I was like, you gotta watch this. It's so fucking good. And I am with you that it is weird that with episodes 1 and 2, we each get a flashback prologue establishing the world, and that's dropped. Here we jump straight into credits. So with episode 2, it does feel like, oh, that's gonna be the formula, and then we stop. Like that is a little weird.
It's kind of funny because it's also like The Last of Us Part 2 where you have that big kind of open world section. You're like, oh, this is going to be the formula for the game. And then nothing
Right.
in the game is like that.
And just the structure of this season, how non-linear it is, the flashbacks, the things we expand on, it does feel a lot closer in structure to the second game than it does the first one. Because that first game is extremely linear,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second one is not.
You can tell that the people writing this are much more in style with the season 2 or part two's writing style.
Yes.
Now for the
And
filler episode.
no. I love this scene with Joel just kind of
I like
silent
that we get a little
mourning for
reference
Tess.
to because that's the cairn that like he makes for Henry and Sam.
Hmm. Yeah. And I don't know where we are, but that is not 10 miles west of Boston. This is one of those, oh yeah, we filmed in Canada scenes. And you can
Well,
tell.
no, that's Boston. It's right next to New York from Jason Takes Manhattan. It's all connected.
But yeah, Jareth, that's awesome. I remember some people, when the show was coming out, were like playing the game as they were watching the show because it's a weekly show, so they play it, stop, just to compare and contrast. Which
That
make
seems
for
like a
an interesting
nightmare.
experience.
Because I think we mix up the order of some stuff.
A little bit. That gets a little tougher in the back half. But again, all this Joel and Ellie stuff's great. They get a lot of good moments in this episodes. I've never been in the
We
woods.
need a resident of Boston to tell us if this is Boston. No, he's from this area.
This is a really interesting scene that's not in the game that I like, where Ellie says, "Hey, if you're like mad at me for what happened to Tess, that's not my fault. She made her own choices. You guys knew what you signed up for. Don't blame not that Joel is, he's just kind of giving her the cold shoulder, but and he even nods. It's a really good moment of respect of like, okay, it tells you early on, like, okay, they're not just gonna be bickering back and forth the whole time. They're that relationship is slowly building, where they don't like each other yet, but he is starting to see her more as like a person. Like, okay, And here we set up another thing that's not in the game of this scar Joel has and him being deaf in 1 year, and we're gonna get
I go back and
answer.
forth on the deaf thing. I have this thought. Do you think that's like a? I don't know how to phrase it, but do you think that just exists because the game has a super hearing mechanic?
It's like a funny inverse of that.
Yeah,
Like maybe I think they're consistent enough with it. They do pay it. They generally pay attention to which side he can hear out of and which side he can't.
I
And
didn't
again,
ask that, but okay.
okay, I'm just making
No,
conversation.
Robert, I was joking because I asked you if you thought it was due to the super hearing, and then you just went off in a lot completely different direction. that was it. Calm down. It's okay.
But before that, you said you didn't think the show was consistent with it. I know.
No,
I
I
was just
didn't.
responding to that.
No, I said I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
I think.
Like I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Well, now you're making me question
Fine.
myself because I don't think I said that.
Fine. It's late. This scene's great. With Ellie fucking around with this arcade machine again, building up more of that Riley storyline.
Roll back the tape. I need to hear what. Uh, Jareth says he and I watch Troy Baker and Nolan North show every week. Retro Replay. Have you guys seen it? Yeah, I watched. I didn't watch it religiously, but I did watch their Last of Us playthrough.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I watched some of their Uncharted gameplay too.
It's a shame that whole thing fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was all Robert's fault.
Sure.
Robert personally caused the destruction of a channel he had nothing to do with.
Yeah, like so that show didn't last very long, but I enjoyed it. I liked their chemistry. They just kind of had different ideas of where to take it, and just it didn't last.
Apparently, like
That's
fought over it. Like they were in danger of their friendship ending. Well,
and
Troy Baker's also a bit of a drama king, so take that for what it is.
I love both those guys, but also for anyone's like, oh my god, they had this epic falling out. Like I don't know if you've seen it. They just shot a thing together promoting the Indiana Jones game coming to the PS5.
Yeah. No,
it's
so
kind of cute. Whatever.
My understanding is
they're still friends.
My understanding is they didn't have a falling out, but that's why Troy left, so they wouldn't have a falling out.
Right. So, probably the right call. I'm glad they're still doing stuff together.
Yeah. I wish I liked that Indiana Jones game more.
Oh. I still haven't played it.
Get a PS5, ya bastard.
I will.
And the other game that's coming to PS Plus in April is Texas Chainsaw. So if you claim that when you get a PS5, if it's still up and running by then.
Because you need somebody to play with.
I need to justify the $60 I spent on that fucking thing.
I like scenes like this that you don't really get in the game because we're always with Joel's POV. I like that we get to see Ellie on her own, viscerally just exploring a bit.
I'm glad you added this early because I was going to say, did you forget about the whole chunk of the game where you're just Ellie?
Yeah. We'll get there.
I like that they have the right flashlight.
Mm-hmm. She even had to shake it a second ago to get it to work.
Oh God.
Which is
it really is The Last of Us. I hate that. The problem is that when I'm streaming, it doesn't work. Oh, that's creepy. Robert, I'm scared.
The way Bella plays the scene is so good. Just this infected that's trapped.
Robert, I was led to believe she was not good for this role.
Oh. And it's again, it's such an interesting scene. Like she's Ellie's curious. really studying it, but also like this isn't just a mercy killing. She's not just putting this down. Like it's that violent heart that she's letting out. Like she's kind of fucking with it. And because she's angry, she's imagining the infected that killed Riley, like she's gonna let a bit of anger out when she kills this thing, just kind of planting the seeds of that dark side of this character.
It's good in Game of Thrones because I've heard mixed things, and I don't know if it's the performance or the character.
She's great in Game of Thrones. It's kind of a one note character. Like she's not in a lot of episodes. She's in like 4 or 5 maybe, just spread out over a few seasons.
That's one of those shows where I've just had to accept I'll never finish it.
Fine.
I got to season 4 the last time I tried, and I was like, I'm so bored.
You're not a fantasy guy. It's fine. And that's good writing, where he was like, it's picked over. There's nothing down there. But of course, Joel wouldn't think or remember, tampons, things that might be useful for her.
That's something you definitely don't deal with in the game.
Nope. Like I said, there's a lot of really important character building with Joel and Ellie.
I don't know if you remember this. This is the first screenshot we ever saw of the show.
Yep, this was an early one. It's a good shot. I love the way she delivers that line. Like, dude, you can fly. That's fucking awesome.
Wait, Robert, you're saying they fly now?
They fly now.
Well, actually, not anymore.
Yeah, these are bits with Ellie that I really enjoy in the game, just talking about like her curiosity about what the old world was like before everything fell apart.
28 Days Later reference.
Monkey.
This is so unrealistic. Where's the shotgun, the sniper rifle, the pistol, flamethrower, the bow and arrow?
If we made Pedro carry all that shit.
Yeah, it fits in his backpack. It's fine.
Okay, they did clarify that. It wasn't if you eat the tainted food, you'd be infected. Just if you ate enough of it. Then it kicked in.
That works better.
Yeah, and again, that information is in the game. It's just in that newspaper that you have the option to read. September 26th, 2003. Rorschach's Journal.
Homecoming, Russia, Delta. I don't know the words. It's always weird when we have a character reference a movie, because like that has to be a 28 Days Later reference. But I don't buy that this character has seen 28 Days Later.
To be fair, when they're writing the episode, that's probably what they're thinking of. But there is a big movie in the 90s that's like about an infection getting out that comes from a lab monkey.
But I don't buy that she's seen any movies yet. She's been in an orphanage and then a military school. She's definitely not watching horror movies.
Yeah, but she's read books and stuff.
Okay, what book has an infected monkey?
No, there's probably one up there.
Okay. I get you. She read the 28 Days Later novelization,
course.
which probably does exist.
Probably. I like. There's a bit earlier in this episode when Joel said, "I don't want to walk down that road," and then she insisted on it. And the reason we see her is all these dead bodies from people that Pedro shot. And it's a good little moment for Joel, where it's like, I don't want to see, I don't want you to see that, because you're a kid, and that parental instinct is already kicking in. Jared said it's called Outbreak. Good to know. I've never seen it. Was it based on a book? I don't know.
You know what bullshit? The monkey hasn't come to Voodoo yet.
Oh, this transition's great. This zoom in on this woman, this corpse, and then we flash back to this alive lady with her baby, and you're like, she's gonna die.
Oh, Mark Weaving has a new movie to rent. Oh, and it's got Ray Nicholson and some in it. Cool. Robert, when
I
are we gonna
love.
watch Mufasa, the Lion King?
Oh God, when we start our Disney Channel.
They already have one of those. Outbreak. It is a 1995 film. Oh wow, this has like a legit cast. Dustin Hoffman, Morgan Freeman, Donald Sutherland, Kevin Spacey. Oh no.
Oh no, he did it. I love this introduction to Bill hiding out in this bunker under his mom's house as everybody else is getting kicked out of this town. Like that line's great. Not today, you New World Order jackboot fucks.
Okay, so this isn't a zombie film though, but it is about like an outbreak of Ebola.
Hmm.
And something else that I can't say.
He is wearing a gas mask here. That's a fun reference to the game.
Robert, try saying that 5 times fast.
Orthomyxaviridae.
Batu Barata Nicto. Robert's like, it was definitely an N word. Whoa, Robert, you can't say that.
This is the type of survival, like post-apocalypse trope I just love. It's very Dawn of the Dead inspired. Just a character having this town to himself, seeing him build it, and just fuck around, like Christmas for him. Like it's great. Like this is just every survivalist's wet dream. Like, oh my god, he has a Home Depot to himself. He gets to go shopping. He gets to take everything he needs. This town is his own to enjoy the splendors of. It's awesome. I like the world building.
The problem with this is that this is a 9 episode season, and you're going to spend at least let's be generous and say an hour not doing anything with our protagonists. That is the equivalent of X-Men Apocalypse stopping the entire plot to have a Wolverine segment for 20 minutes. That doesn't advance anything.
That's not the read I have on it. It's about the story. It's about the world building, and these are characters that Joel knows that matter to him. It does further.
Okay,
his
but how
story.
does this progress Joel and Ellie's story?
At the end, when she reads the letter.
Okay. So why can't they just read the letter and then have the rest of the episode be about, I don't know, our protagonists?
Because then we wouldn't feel it. We need to see these characters. I don't mind that the show takes the time to switch to these different points of view and tell different stories. Again, it's about the world building.
But then the season needs to
What
be
I love,
longer.
I wouldn't mind if this was like an episode longer, sure, but in terms of plot, by the end of this episode, like the same thing happens that the game does. Joel and Ellie get a vehicle and are on the road.
But we're still
Like
spending
plot
time with
wise, not
Joel and
much is
Ellie and
different.
like surviving with them. They disappear for an entire episode. They're the main characters. That is a problem.
I don't think it's a problem because I like the story. What I love about this episode, why I think it works, is even though we got the ball rolling, we've seen the setup, we've got the ball rolling with Joel and Ellie. I love episodes of shows that can be a distillation of what the whole series is about. It's about hope and love and these connections and how we operate in this apocalyptic world. I love that we can distill all that into one episode with these characters. We also get some of his traps from the game, killing that infected. That's fun.
Okay, then make that
Like that
a
that's in there.
one-off special. This would be like uh
But TV does this all the time. Like that's what I like about television. You have the
that
opportunity to veer off into these different stories.
that completely sidelines its main characters.
I don't think they're in the opening and the ending. I don't think they're sidelined. Like I said, I like the story. But you should talk for a minute about why you like Game Bill and why you prefer the game version. Because I like the game
Game
version
Bill
too.
is a survivalist that is so insufferable that even his boyfriend was like, "No, I'm leaving. Fuck you." And he's kind of just a product of this world. This Bill is just kind of pathetic and like a basement dweller.
I think he could have been a basement dweller before the apocalypse in the game. That rings true to me.
I don't know. It continues that we have to soften all of the characters for reasons.
Like I said, I like Game Bill too, and I think he works for the game. He's the same character here. We just tell a different story with it.
But he's
But in
not
terms
the.
of plot,
You fundamentally change the character when he is. People can stand to be around him for long periods of time. That is not the character that is in the game.
I have always got the vibe though that him and Frank were a couple for a while, and then it fell apart. I don't think he was always as insufferable. I mean, Joel
But
has a decent working relationship with him.
okay, but Joel also doesn't like to go to his town, and from the minute he's there, he's irritated with him. Frank
Hmm.
got to the point where he couldn't stand him. Ellie hated him from scene one. Like they reinforced that this is not a guy that anybody wants to spend long periods of time with. This guy is just kind of eccentric, and people like to spend time with him.
Like I said, there's enough of Game Bill in here that I don't mind it. I think Nick Offerman's great. I
It
don't
is
argue that
great
Frank
casting.
is more I don't argue that Frank's more reinvented. He's much more of a different
That's
character.
hard to say because the only thing we get of Frank's characterization is that letter. Like we never meet Frank.
But also that in the game, like he hated the town, he didn't want to be there, he wanted to leave. This Frank likes the town and wants to make it a home and be
But
here. That's what's
I could
different.
make that argument that all that stuff he's saying is because he's pissed at Bill.
Hmm.
Because that's one of the oldest like cliches of an ending romance. You know, I hate you, I hate this town, I hate this place, but it all stems from that fallout with your partner. Now, I'm not saying for sure that's what it is, but I don't know enough of who he was as a person to say for sure. Oh, he was miserable here outside of just being with Frank or with Bill.
Mhm. I love this scene. This Arby's joke is great. If I feed you, then every bum you tell about this place will come here expecting a free lunch. And this is not an Arby's. Arby's didn't have free lunch. It was a restaurant. Like I
No,
think the
that's a good
chemistry is
one.
great.
It's also just jarring because this is the only thing that we go so far off the script for.
I think it has a good balance. I don't mind that the show will change things from the game, but the
But the
main
problem is
story,
they
like you
don't
get the
change
same
anything
beginning,
to the
middle, and
degree
end.
that they change this.
And I just think it's fine. For this story, again, the Bill story I think works in the game.
But if
I
you
think it's
cut this
fine.
out, you are not missing anything. This is all superfluous.
I disagree because I like the story. Like, look, the story didn't click for you, and it clicked for me. That's
Whether you
fine.
like the
We have
story or
different
not
points
is
of view.
fine. I'm glad that it worked for you. But objectively, if you cut out this entire flashback and you just have Joel and Ellie show up to the house, they read the letter and they get the car. Nothing has changed in the narrative.
I disagree because the ending just doesn't hit as hard because then we didn't get to know those
I'm not talking
characters.
about the emotional aspect. I'm talking about the narrative itself. Nothing has changed.
Yeah, I don't agree. Again, it's world building and it's just expanding these characters. Uh, enough of the plot is intact from the game. Because you could also say that in the game you could cut out all the Bill stuff and they just get the car and move on. You know, like I said, I think each
The
version
game
works
at least
for
has the,
its
the
medium.
excuse that that's longer because it's a gameplay segment. And you're still with Joel and Ellie, which is where the narrative is.
Yeah, but I like that the show is bigger than that. I like that we can shift perspectives. Now, one thing they could have changed that I might have liked is instead of doing this whole flashback sequence as its own chunk of the episode, we could have cut back and forth.
And that might
Where
have worked better. I think at the end of the day, my irritation is this is only the third episode, and we're already moving away from our protagonist. That would be like if you were watching. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example, like the X Files, because that's been on my brain recently. It'd be like if you're watching the X Files, and the third episode suddenly just didn't have Mulder and Scully in it for 90% of the episode.
it's just a different type of show. Again, though, that's what I like about television. I like that we can go off and do these different things for an episode. But I think the value that this adds to the narrative, why I like the optimistic spin it has on the story, is it's a bit of needed levity and hope, which
But
is what you
also,
get with Joel at the end. That will then be ripped away from them later. It adds to the overall tragedy, but
but
for the
also,
context of this
Robert.
one story, it's a refreshing
Oh man,
bit of optimism.
this is also a double B. This is just Left Behind, but with two different
It's not
characters.
though.
It is.
It's I think no. It's a companion piece to it. This is a course of a full relationship. We get to see a life with these characters. Left Behind, we get a glimpse of what they could have had, where that relationship could have gone, and then it's taken away from them early. And just when those characters admit their feelings for each other, one of them dies. That's the tragedy. I think they work great as companion pieces. This is a love story over the course of a full life, or technically 20 years, or 15, 20 years. Left Behind is lifelong friends who just enter this next stage of their relationship, and then that's taken away from them as young people. This is a story of old people. That's a story of young people. I think they complement each other very well. I can buy that Game Bill though was like a weird loner guy who was in his mom's. I mean, obviously his mom's dead now, even before the apocalypse
I
but
mean,
hits.
Game
But
Bill
like,
is
yeah, I could
clearly
buy
a
that he's still
weird
living in that
loner,
house.
but he's that realistic loner. He's alone because nobody wants to be around him. He is insufferable.
He has his moments.
And this episode robs us of all of the Joel, Ellie, and Bill interactions for an emotionally manipulative episode at best.
I don't find it manipulative. I think they have great chemistry. And the look on his face, like, oh god, you suck. Okay, let me play it.
And again, for all of you people in the comments or that might be in the comments, I don't care that they're gay. I didn't care that they were gay in the game. I care that we have completely derailed the entire show
And
for
I don't think it's
this.
derailed. We've
Okay,
already
so Robert,
seen
to use a
POV.
movie example, because I mentioned this before. You remember in X-Men Apocalypse where they stopped the entire
Yes.
movie for Wolverine?
But I don't think that informs the narrative or the story in any way.
But this doesn't inform the narrative, because the narrative is Joel and Ellie's relationship.
And what they're fighting for, and their future, like all that. It's a thematic thing, John.
We already have that with later stuff. Tess, Henry, Sam, all of that.
Yeah, I think this is a great compliment to all that stuff. I think this is a refreshing, needed bit of optimism. And I say that because I have multiple friends who never played the game, who really like the show, and this was a standout episode for them. Like, I had friends who liked the first two episodes. This one was they loved. They were like, "Oh, great! Our mutual friend Captain Logan from Geek Evolution really liked this episode."
I didn't know if he got to this one.
Yeah, and I don't know how far he got in the game. I know he started the game, but
I don't think
he
he got
really
very
liked
far.
this episode.
Jared says, I missed 20-something episodes of seasons of television. Not that would have worked for this. I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't.
Trade-off. It depends on the show, and B, it's, well, if you want a 20-episode show, that means it's going to be a lot cheaper. It's not going to look like this. That's
it's also, sorry, 90% of those episodes were trash.
No. That depends on the show.
A lot of the times with a 22-episode show, you would maybe have 10 or 11 that were worth going back to. They just cut out all the stuff that wasn't worth going back to.
Hmm. And I like exploring the side of Bill, who is somebody who's never been this intimate with somebody before. You know, like he's never had a real relationship. I believe it or not, I can be critical of this episode. I don't think it's perfect.
Shocked.
It's not my favorite. The part that I don't buy with this episode is how quickly they get together. That it's like the first day. That's the stuff that feels kind of rushed. And even though I think their performances are great, I don't buy this all happening on the first day.
I think we can at least agree that maybe it should have been intercut. I do not buy reality where it's okay to have an entire episode of television not focused on your protagonists.
And I don't agree, because shows do that all the time. That's what I like about shows. I mean, like Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones.
So Breaking Bad has an episode, has episodes. Now I haven't seen it, to be fair. I haven't seen it in a while. Where Jesse and Walt are not main characters for an entire episode.
They're in every episode, but like there are episodes that focus way more on Gus, Mike, etc. We do this in shows all the time, where we can take an episode to focus more on one specific character or a side character. I like that in TV.
But those side characters are often reoccurring, right?
Sure. And these characters are set up in the show. They're set up in the first episode. We're paying that off.
Oh my god, it's payoff.
Jared said
feels
that
like a long movie miniseries. I don't feel like that's
true.
I don't feel like that's as big an issue when you go outside of like Disney or Netflix. Especially with Netflix, because like Stranger Things has never felt like a movie that stretched out.
Right.
The Penguin didn't feel like a movie stretched out. It was really just like the Netflix Marvel stuff and Disney Plus, and that's just because they repurposed a lot of movie scripts into 6-hour.
The Disney shows are some of the worst examples where you'd have like a 6-episode miniseries that's like, yeah, this could have been a 2-hour movie. Like Obi-Wan, I think could have been a great miniseries in theory,
Well,
but what we
in
got was
theory,
padded out. But what we
it's
got was
stupid.
padded out and thin, yeah.
But like this doesn't feel like a movie stretched out. Um, like I said, Stranger Things.
But also, I mean, like, we just did commentaries on the Stand miniseries, and that has episodes that primarily focus on different characters. You know, that's a big epic ensemble thing.
Just says the whole side character thing is why I dropped The Walking Dead.
And that's
Um,
fair. And The Walking Dead did that a lot.
The Walking Dead does that too much, but in The Walking Dead's defense, that is an ensemble piece. Like Rick is the protagonist, but it designates like yes, he's the main character, but it's kind of a team thing, right? Like Daryl's also a main character. Uh, Carol is a main character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Walking Dead is a show, both the show and the comic, where it's like we start from Rick's POV and then we expand as it goes. And like in the show, by the time we hit season 3, is when you get like those governor episodes that don't feature Rick at all, where we are focused on completely
Which is
different
at least for that,
characters.
I could give it as the antagonist or just fleshing out the antagonist.
And again, I like that this is just a self-contained story, but they are absolutely essential to Joel's story. Like these aren't random people. This is when the episode picks back up for me. I like this time skip, this argument we jump into with Bill and Frank. So again, he's not as insufferable as Game Bill, but like they still have these arguments. This line's great. Where Frank's like, you just hide in a bunker and you think the government are all Nazis. And Bill says, the government are all Nazis.
No, this is a good
And
scene.
in the context of this universe, that is kind of true.
But also, that could have, if you'd just done this properly, it could have also helped with the infected issue. Like, imagine if we actually got the school set piece, or the town set piece, or
Yeah, I like the school set piece. I'm just not missing it. Like we get a couple infected in this episode, and we had a lot of infected in episode 2, so I'm not really missing them yet.
Jared says season 8 is where he lost interest. I don't even think I made it that far.
That,
That show
that's
goes off
far
the
enough to get
fucking
dropped off,
rails.
yeah. Well, I've always said The Walking Dead, it's an up and down show. It highs and lows, peaks and valleys. It has some great stuff and then some bad stuff and then some great
Okay,
stuff and then
Captain
some bad
Logan.
stuff. Okay, well, we agree.
I know, it's just a joke. I'm taking everything so personally, Robert.
Also, I like that Frank inviting meeting or learning about Joel and Tess over the radio and getting in contact with them. That's a good choice. That's Frank's idea. And Bill's like, "What?"
Okay, I have a question. So they're in Boston, or the Boston QZ. How far away is this from the Boston QZ?
I'm
How
not
what is
sure.
this range on that radio?
I don't know. And like I said, you get some grumpy Bill in this scene. It's pretty fun. I like that we get one last little flashback with Tess here. It's cool for me getting to see this stage in Joel and Tess that you don't really get to see in the game since we just jump 20 years and never go back.
I don't know how far out from the outbreak this is. Um,
We're I've already forgotten. We're like 7 or 8 years. Like we're pretty deep into it. Like
I wish
Joel and
I
Tess
wish we
are
were
when they're
starting to
starting.
get some. If you're gonna do this, give me some more of that, like the decay starting to set in, society falling apart. This just looks like a Sunday afternoon brunch.
Well, it's because this is his town, and they're keeping it up. That's what I like about
Oh,
it, though.
right.
It's they talk about.
Bill's town in the game was completely kept up. He
Yeah,
managed
I
that
didn't
entire
understand that.
town by himself.
But that's why I like
This
the
is a good Joel
scene.
moment. Get that gun out of my face.
Yeah. And Tess just talked about like, oh my god, this is like normal, so different.
And part of my frustration is we have the perfect game Bill here, and we're not going to do it. Just do it, you cowards.
I like that they tell a different story with it. I'm with you that I miss the Bill and Ellie interactions in the game. Those are really fun. But I like that we at least get some on-screen Bill and Joel interactions.
You know what the most annoying part of this thing about this episode? It's not the actual episode. It was the discourse around this episode. Because you either had the people that were bigots or the people that accused you of only liking it, not liking it because you're bigots. It's like, no, fuck you for attacking me for caring about the source material, and fuck you for making me sound like a bigot for not liking the episode. You're both idiots, and I hate you.
Like I said, this episode really resonated with me. I had a great first viewing of it. And again, I have friends who absolutely love this episode. And they definitely have a closer relationship here than they do in the game, where they're clearly working together more of this kind of this trade system they work out. Again, we set that up in the first episode with the code stuff with the radio. They're in contact with it a bit more, but like what you keep saying about this show softening Joel a bit, they're at least consistent with it. Where I like Boston, Joel refers to as home, and Tess says, "Fuck you, that's not my home." Like Joel, he just wants to find Tommy, but other than that, he's like kind of content with where he is and his friends, and that's all getting taken away from him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Like, I'm glad it's consistent, but it's consistent with a take that I feel like is softening the source material. Yay for them.
And I don't again for me it's all about balance. You need the moments of hope, you need the moments of levity so that when the drama kicks in, it's all the
But
more
there's
brutal.
already
Like
plenty of moments of levity in the source material. You don't have to create new ones.
there is, but also those heavy moments are spaced out a lot more because there's all that gameplay in between, gameplay that the show doesn't need. I agree that there should be more infected in the back half. I still don't think anything's rushed. And again, these are the human moments that matter, like the beauty of tasting a strawberry. These things and
Nice sap.
okay, those games go to some really sappy places, and I love them for it. Like I love that bit where Frank's like, "Oh yeah, I gave Joel and Tess one of the guns for the strawberries," and he's like, "Which gun?" Like, "Yeah, one of the little ones. Just enjoy the strawberry. You're so grumpy." And like this laugh, like this, it's such a sincere moment. Again, the actor's just really solid. And it's again what I was saying about balance, though. We've seen the game's great partially because it's a game, because it's such a unique playing experience with these tropes and archetypes and apocalyptic stuff. But in the context of a show, we've seen The Walking Dead. We have a lot of shows like this, and what you don't want, and where The Walking Dead got to for some people, was it can't be miserable all the time. It should be miserable just for the sake of being miserable. Yes, we know where the story's gonna go, but again, those human moments of levity are really important. Like I love that so much of what I love about The Last of Us with hope and love and the connections these characters make. Like you get that distilled into this one episode. Whereas the Joel and Ellie stuff is this ongoing, evolving thing. And for me, they complement each other really well.
I don't like it dark and miserable. They're gonna hate The Last of Us Part Two.
Oh yeah, it and where I can also empathize though with your point of view is for you watching the show at the first time you hit this episode and you're like, man, we're softening a lot. Like, what are they going to change later? You don't know yet how close we're going to do the Sam and Henry stuff and the Riley stuff and the ending is especially
And
and
for me, for a narrative, everything should revolve back to the main characters. Yes, I understand thematically it does, but I mean, everything should relate back to them. The only thing in this episode that matters to them is that they get a truck. The rest of this is inconsequential. I'm not talking thematically, I'm talking at the actual storyline. Nothing happens to advance their story.
I think it does, or at least as much as the game version does. Again, that's where we have to just agree to disagree.
Hey, look, that's on fire.
We're on fire. Fucking bandits.
I'm gonna go play The Last of Us Part 2 just so I can be miserable again. Now, I do remember when I watched this for the first time, I got a little confused because of the way that's edited. Um, that was a strange cut.
Which part?
Where it, like, cut from him being out in the field or whatever to him in the house. Unless I just looked away for a second and missed something.
I don't know. He ran outside, found Bill. Bill got shot, brought him in.
I might have just missed something, to be fair, to the episode. Bill, you're so dramatic.
Did you see Jarrett's comment?
Have you guys seen Leave the World Behind on Netflix? I don't know what that is.
Neither do I. I've not seen
Robert, why don't you know these things?
it.
This is off topic, but have you watched Challengers yet?
I still have not. I need to.
You should. It's really good.
Is it on Hulu?
Anora is on Hulu. I need to get around to watching that.
Ooh, I do need to see that.
No, Challengers is on Prime.
Ah,
That's just an interesting movie because that's the only movie I can think of where it's good because of the editing.
I've heard the editing's amazing. I've heard that they make tennis like awesome.
No, it's like the most I've ever cared about fucking tennis. That's like the Queen's Gambit is the most I've ever cared about fucking chess.
Right.
Allow me to Google Leave the World Behind. Robert, let's leave the world behind.
We haven't gotten to the Left Behind episode yet.
It revolves around two families as they try to make sense of a rapid breakdown in phones, television, and other common technology, which points to A potential cataclysm.
Oh.
Ew. I that could be good. The initial premise kind of has me worried. That just seems a little cringy. Like it could easily just go into one of those PSA like, here's why modern technology is bad. The old person makeup is really good here.
Mhm. And what I like about this story, which again is going to twist the knife for the tragedy later, is we're seeing two guys who get to live to be old in this world, and just the
You just like old
joy.
people. It's okay.
I do,
Do you like
but
it because they
it's
unalive themselves?
sure because they go out on their own terms. But it's just the joy in the little moments. This is what these characters are fighting for. This is what they might get. Which again, it makes it all the more fucking sad whenever you see where we go with some other characters.
They should bring this Bill back as a zombie in season 2.
Like Tom Savini and
Yeah, Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead.
Jared says it's a disaster movie, one of the best movies I've seen in a while.
Oh, cool.
I wouldn't hype it up that much.
It's one of the best movies ever made. Oh, cool, Jareth. Glad you enjoyed it. I should check it out
Yeah,
sometime.
I will. I will watch it the second Tuesday of next week.
Jareth, would you say that's like, because we haven't seen it, would you say that's like horror adjacent enough to count for this channel, or is it more of just a drama thing? Because with disaster, you could always go either way, and Last of Us is something that kind of
What's crazy
rights the
is
middle.
Julia Roberts is in it.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
I want to say that's like weird for her, but I also haven't seen her in like hardly anything in the last decade. Like I don't know what she's doing now.
yeah. I think that she is that unfortunate not to be mean, but because she did kind of make a name for herself with like the rom coms and like stuff like that, which is very much based on youth and attraction. She's 60 now. Like she's not really getting those parts.
Right. She could have played Panel of Worries.
Yeah. Let's see what she's been in recently. Wait a minute. Oh, oh, fuck off, Wikipedia. Wikipedia's like, oh, she's in the Knuckles show, and then you look at it, it's archive footage from Pretty Woman.
Oh, that doesn't count. They probably paid her
Just
to use
because you're
it.
showing the movie Pretty Woman doesn't mean that she's in that movie. That show.
John, did you know that Bruce Campbell is in A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Whoa. He said it's almost in line with the original The Crazies.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Oh,
Because
Robert,
that's a bleak fucking movie.
she's in your favorite movie of 2017, Smurfs: The Lost Village.
I never saw it.
I guess she is still doing romantic comedies. She's in that movie Mother's Day. Ticket to Paradise. This movie sounds unhinged. George Clooney and Julia Roberts play a divorced couple who team up to sabotage the impending wedding of their daughter. That seems like
Oh
rational.
yeah,
That seems like a rational
I
thing
remember
for
the
parents
trailers
to
for it.
do.
Yeah, I never saw it. I just remember the marketing for it.
Caitlin Denver's in it.
Oh, okay.
I won't be watching it, but I'm sure somebody did.
Yeah, she's in some good movies. But I love this song choice here. This was in the it's not from it, but it was in the movie Arrival, a movie I like a lot.
I saw that. Is that the Amy Adams one?
Yeah.
No, wait, I didn't see that. I saw there's two that were similar around the same time. The one with Natalie Portman, Annihilation.
Oh, yeah. Recently to see that. That's been on my list for forever.
I don't remember. I just remember being like, "What did I just watch?"
Yeah, I've heard it gets weird.
Are you
But
excited to watch Night Bitch?
oh God, do we have to?
I was really excited for that movie for like a second because I thought it was going to be like a body horror, like she's literally turning
Hmm.
into a dog. And then I saw the trailer. I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
no,
did not look great.
I'll just off each other already." Good God.
They're spending one last day together. It's nice. But I like the ideas of like the quality of life versus quantity of life. You know, like they didn't get to live till 80 or whatever, but they still I love Bill's line coming up about being satisfied. Like he got to live life and be happy for a bit. And I liked Bill's speech talking about like we had good days, we had bad days. It wasn't perfect, but I have no regrets. And for me it's just it's very bittersweet. It's not
No,
trying
I know.
to
I watched this
be
with a bunch of friends that had never played the games, and like they were all crying, and I'm sitting here like I felt like a jackass.
yeah, like I said, it was very emotional for me. I thought it was just beautiful.
Don't cry on camera, please. We have to edit
I'll
it
try
all
not
out.
to. And it's nice when you can see a story though with characters you could say ending life on their own terms, but again, but it's not tragic. It's there's just like yeah, they're done. It's fine. I love Bill's speech coming up like, yeah,
They
dude,
stayed the
I don't want to do
course.
this without you. Done.
They're all dead. Jared
And
says
I
it's
love
also like the birds.
interesting. The birds is great. Curious what he means by
I'm trying to figure out what a cross between the birds and the crazies looks like. Is it just the crazy birds?
that. The Crazy Birds movie. Is that an offshoot of the Angry Birds movie?
Did you ever play that game back when it was like really popular?
Oh yeah, I had a couple of
I know
them.
people give that shit game shit now. That shit was fun. Like
It was fun.
there was a reason it
Uh,
was so popular.
I didn't play the first one. I think it was like the second one I played. The space one was the one I played a lot.
I
Like that
played.
got me
I
through
want to
senior year
say
of high
two.
school.
I want to say I played two, and then I played the Star Wars one.
Oh yeah, there was a Star Wars one. Yeah, I also played that.
I can't believe they made a. That's another game where I can't believe they made a movie like a decade after the popularity died.
Right. I mean, I heard it was fun. That's the thing. Okay, as far as video game movies go, I've heard that one was decent. Like it did do okay. I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
ever watch it, but I've heard it is one of
We're
the
gonna do it
okay
for the
ones.
channel. It's a horror. It's a horror movie.
When are we starting our video game movie channel?
That
It'll
would
give us an
actually,
excuse to do House of the Dead.
legitimately, that would be interesting, just because there's so much crap.
There's so many. Would you include TV shows of that, or do you say just stick to movies?
I'd say TV shows so we could do this again, and I could finally make you watch the Fallout show.
Yeah, I would like to watch that. And you've never seen Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, right?
I have not. I've seen two Hitchcock films.
Psycho and
Rare Window, I think.
okay, that's a good one.
So I had a really weird viewing of that movie where it's like really good, but there's a lot of scenes where like the guy is kissing the girl, but also having to talk at the same time, and just the way the audio was mixed was really irritating.
That's funny.
I was like, "Dear God, stop it!" Jared, I meant because at the beginning of the disaster, he said different people react. It also gave me Hitchcock vibes and Twilight Zone.
Hmm. Or Night of the Living Dead, I presume. And I do love Twilight Zone. Yeah, what I love about the birds, that's kind of like a proto-zombie movie. It's just with birds instead of zombies, but a lot of that movie is people like stuck in one house trying to board it up and keep these fucking birds out. And
Yes, it
it's
was
really
Rear
cool.
Window. It was a
Okay,
solid flick.
it is a good movie. And what I love about the birds is that's a movie where you're just following these characters getting invested in the story, doing their own thing, and then about halfway through, all that just gets thrown out the window because these fucking birds start attacking them and fuck up their lives. It's great. It's one of the best like movie that turns into a different movie
Can we
in
do
the back
that in Birdemic as a remake and original?
half. Sure. There is we've talked about this before. There is a TV The Birds 2
Of course.
that I've heard is horrible,
Of course.
but I'd like to see it at some
It's like
point.
those Disney movies that are great, and then they got those crappy directed DVD sequels.
Yeah. Or those
I
Disney
watched The
movies
Lion
that are
King too many times.
oh, or those Disney movies that were great that got those crappy live action remakes.
Oh. At least there's one good
Which
Lion King movie.
that's true. There is. You know what?
Well,
I
two,
remember liking
if you
Lion King
count
1
one
and
and a
2.
half. I don't like to count that though, because at least half of that is just the first movie. That shouldn't count.
It's more of a parody thing, but I remember liking it.
I haven't went back to that in forever. I like the shot.
And I love the set dressing and stuff, seeing everything kind of deteriorate
I mean, we're
over
back
the
at
years.
the narrative.
Hi, Joel. How's it going?
Remember our main characters?
Like I said, shows can follow different characters. It's fine. And he really sells the scene coming up, where again the game's like a little more episodic in its chapters, where you get the test stuff and then the Bill stuff and then Sam and Henry, etc. Uh, Pedro really sells this moment coming up where it's like he just needed Tommy back, but other than that, he was at least kind of comfortable or at least content with where his life was. And now that has all been taken away from him, where he's like, "Fuck, everyone I grew to love and care about has now fucking died in the span of like 2 days."
Yeah, I remember at least one of the Aladdin sequels being good. But those aren't really in the
Three,
same vein as those directed DVD. Like those are before that, where they just pumped out directed DVD.
right? Well, Return of Jafar, that was the first one. That's what kicked it off.
Oh, okay.
Uh, it, but then the trend started later.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Return of Jafar not being great, and it doesn't have a very good reputation. The three was the good one, because what kills Return of Jafar is that's the one that they couldn't get Robin Williams back. Uh, Aladdin 3 is when they got Robin Williams back, and the King of Thieves, and maybe
I need to rewatch those. The only thing I remember of Aladdin is the like animated series when I was a kid.
yeah, and that was between the second and third movie, which I never saw a lot of. I remember it being okay, but I never got to see much of it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's on
But I
Disney
love
Plus either.
Aladdin. Did you have any of the Aladdin video games growing up? I have the Sega Genesis one, and it's awesome.
See, I've never owned a
It's a great
Sega
game.
system. That's the only like big manufacturer. I had a N64, and then I jumped to PlayStation.
You can get that Aladdin game though. It's on the PlayStation Store. It
I
got
did. I do
remastered.
remember. I bought the Ducktales game when they remastered it.
Yeah, it's probably on par, if not better. Because Aladdin, I don't remember. That might have been an early Traveler's Tales game, or maybe it was a different studio, but it was really ambitious for the time in terms of like its sprite animation, where it's shockingly close to the movie. Like it's just very fluid and impressive for the early '90s. Like it's just a solid side scroller action game.
Looks like this was developed by Virgin Games.
Okay. Maybe Traveler's Tales is the Toy Story game. That might be what I'm thinking of.
Have you heard the rumors that Lego wants to take away the license from them and start developing in house?
Yeah. That's weird.
Why would you do that? You have a cash cow.
This is a great bit from Bella. Where it's like, or maybe you'll get blown up in one of my traps. uh, it's also cool though that we do integrate into the story a character reading a note from these characters, which you find all throughout those games from different people. Um, uh, where even though the Bill and Frank stuff does work to me, and then again, to me, is tied more directly into the Joel and Ellie stuff. What I don't think would have been necessary is when we get that in a couple episodes, that Easter egg reference to Ishmael from the game. And I remember some people saying, "Ah, there should have been an Ishmael episode." That's where I disagree. That I think would
I
have been
would have thrown a
unnecessary.
hissy fit. Anyway, okay. You know what's crazy? So you're right. Traveler's Tales did Toy Story, but do you know what
Mm,
tie-in they did
great game.
before that? Bram Stoker's Dracula for the
Forget the
SNES.
game. Yeah, I didn't know who made that. It's like a side-scrolling beat 'em up with Keanu Reeves. I mean, if they made that now, that would be awesome. Like Keanu Reeves versus Dracula. Fuck yeah. But for that movie, it's weird.
It's crazy though, because like they did a lot of. They did Toy Story. They did a Bugs Life game, and I remember that game. I had that game.
Oh, cool.
Uh,
Well, Toy Story was another one that had like really impressive graphics for the time. It was like a side-scrolling 3D thing, kind of like the Donkey
yeah,
Kong Country games. Like it looked really impressive for the mid
they did the
'90s.
Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. They did Toy
That's Toy
Story
Story 2.
2,
I love it.
which I believe that one is on PS Plus.
Yep, I have it. I played that game a few
I
times.
need to play it.
That's a childhood favorite.
Uh, they did the Finding Nemo game. Sonic R.
Oh god.
And then they get the Lego license, and it's just
Yep.
lice, Lego, 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 Lego.
This I love this scene, and I think it works later in the show because remember in the game Tess dies and then Joel has that conversation with Ellie about like, okay, we need to have some rules if we're going to keep doing this. You do what I say when I say it. We move that conversation much later here in the show, and I think it works. Uh, and now he's telling her about Tommy and that they're going to go look for him. Yeah, this is the if I'm taking you with me, there's rules you need to follow, and they both really nail this
Theory,
moment.
how close he sounds to the voice Troy Baker does for Joel.
It's really good. Condition. And I like that they kept that bit from the game where he's like, "Yeah, don't show people your bites because they'll think you're crazy or we'll kill you." Like, and that's gonna be really important in the second game. Where it's like, yeah, keep that information to yourself. Jareth said he misses movie tie-in video games. I do too. Most of them were trash, but there were good
I
ones.
do, but I can also recognize that is with rose tinted glasses because 90% of them were absolute trash.
Yeah. And the
Like we
reason why
complain
they
about modern games being broken. Go back to some of those tie-in games. How does he still have power 20 years later?
No, they showed him get his own generator, starting all that stuff.
And that's never failed in
Really
20 years.
He's kept it up. I mean, they just died like a week ago. That's the thing, though. Even the game cheats, where just don't think about it. Where in real life, it does not take long for like gasoline to expire and stop working in cars. Yeah, we just don't talk about that stuff in the game. It's the cars still work. It's fine. Like that game makes a really big deal about how hard it is to find a battery that works. They don't talk about the gasoline. They're just like, yeah, it works.
Gasoline. You know, everybody swears up and down by Spider-Man 2. I mean, it was good, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's fair to say games stopped progressing after this point, and it's been 20 years. Like, yeah, Spider-Man 2 was good for its time. We've made just as good, if not better, games for Spider-Man at this point.
I do like Spider-Man PS4 a lot.
Uh, Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions was great. Web of Shadows was great.
I like now. This is a good payoff. We set up this gun, Bill's gun earlier that he hid in this desk, and now Ellie's taking it, and that's going to be important.
Ellie, you
Ellie
bastard.
is, and they're now wearing their game outfits, and that's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
But I really like what they do with the gun, because we set that up in the last episode of her asking for one. They're like, "No, fuck you, child. You don't get a gun." And now she has one that she's hiding, and that's going to be important in the next episode. Yeah, and this is that shot's great when she like turns the mirror and he's just staring at her. But this episode does have a lot of important progress for their relationship. Uh, this moment's cute, like when he gives her the seatbelt. Again, his parental instincts are slowly kicking in. Also, TV Ellie is like a smidge less of an asshole than the game version, because in the game she just steals Bill's porn, and it's like still use that. At least here they're dead. Like, no one's gonna be using it. But that's in the next episode.
Same song in the game. I can't remember.
Long time. No, this is just in the show. No, I think the soundtrack for the series is great. They kept because also that first game doesn't have a lot of licensed music. The second one does, or at least like covers of licensed music. But music's a really big part of the show so far, and I like their choices. And then we end on another shot of a window, which is, like I said, a recurring motif throughout the series, which is a cool little nod to the game.
Remember the windowsill?
Yeah.
I would like to
I think
replay
I'm gonna love
Spider-Man
you.
2 though. It's just because it has been a long time.
And that's never had like a proper re-release, right?
None of those games have.
Close.
That did have some cool stuff. Like you do have a really cool Mysterio.
Yeah, I never owned it, but like I had friends who had it, so I did get to play it.
That's one of the unfortunate things with Spider-Man 2 PS5. Mysterio's kind of lame.
Oh, I didn't even know he was in it. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So is he just like a side mission?
Yeah. And, okay, this is what irritates me. He is a Miles exclusive side mission.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Don't
So
give that
Peter
away.
Parker never gets to interact. Spoilers for a 3-year-old game at this point. Peter Parker just never interacts with Mysterio in that game.
They fought before. We just didn't see it.
Fuck you, Insomniac. Alright, that is season 1, episode 3, A Long, Long Time, which is how it feels watching that episode. No, I'm kidding.